And welcome back to part 4 of Dick Tracy, where last time we put Flat Top away, so now it's time to begin case 4. And we are approaching the end of the game. This game does only have 5 cases, but they do get progressively harder, and this one does also get a lot harder between this one and the third one. So this one starts off a little bit differently. Unlike the previous 3 cases, you don't really get any suspects you have to follow. So this time we had to go to the scene of the crime. So you know that's going to be one of the peers. So if you go ahead and look at your suspect list, it's going to be a little bit different this time around, and there are going to be some red herring suspects, just like before. But we are actually going to see one of those red herring suspects at some point, just because I do want to pick up a first aid kit at some point in that case. But what we gotta do is make our way over to the scene of the crime, and that's gonna be 9th and F. And you can tell it's not 9th and D, because if you try going there, then it's just gonna play the normal music that plays there in the menu. And that's how you know that it just also gives you only one exit, so that's how you know it's got nothing to do with the case. But the good thing about this case is that there are also more items to pick up. So I mean, you do have that working for you too. The only tricky part is just trying to make it through all this stuff while trying to remain in one piece. And also the worst part about this case, I mean, we'll see it when we'll see it when it shows up, but I think you guys will know it. Let's see, I want to go back this way because I want to just pick up this super punch. Just because you can never have too many power-ups early on. Except in this case when you can only have 2 first aid kits, which I still think is pretty stupid, but well, that's just the way they designed it. So let's see, I think what we're gonna do here is we just gotta look for a clue. We're not gonna find any suspects right now, but we actually are gonna find one pretty soon. And this was one of the reasons it did take me a while to get this recorded, because I was running out of a lot of stuff to say between the cases, because, you know, you've seen this layout before, you've seen the, you know, stuff that goes on in these cases, so I don't know, there isn't really a whole lot left to talk about, but then again, this is a pretty short game, fortunately. I just gotta make jumps. And it was also mentioned in the comments that the game was also really unclear as to what you can jump through and what you can't, and also what you can shoot through and what you can't. And that is one of the things I am going to touch on for my final thoughts at the end of the game. You know, once we get there. But right now we gotta take care of business with making it across this pier. Although I'm wondering as to what kind of pier, I guess, is set up this way that's so hard to jump across. I don't know, I guess they don't want people breaking in, so... or they don't want people stealing stuff, so... they just make it really hard to make jumps without drowning. Then again, this is a video game, so why am I questioning the logic of this game? So now we found a clue, and if we recall in the mugshots, there was a hypnotist, so we are going to be seeing him pretty soon. But I gotta go back to the station and get his address. And I think what I'm going to do for this case is that I'm going to break it up into 2 parts. And just when I get about the 3rd or 4th clue, I'm going to call it, and then just split it off into a second video where I end up finishing the case. So let's see, let's check out our little hypnotist friend here. So we gotta make our way over to 3rd and J. So let's just go ahead and get going. I think I am gonna edit out this part, so I'll just see you guys there. Alright, let's get this going. And see, I just gotta run past these safes. And later on, there are gonna be a lot more safes, and that is one thing that makes these later levels a lot more annoying, is that there are just so many more hazards, so much stuff shooting at you, and also just a lot more enemies showing up where you don't want them to. Just like those ones behind the window that you can only kill by shooting at a very specific spot in the stage. And also there are parts where you can't climb up these things, and that actually can really get you in trouble if you are surrounded by thugs and they just punch the hell out of you. I have had that happen to me before in a practice run, and like I said before, that was one of the reasons why this took so long to get out. But unfortunately, that's just the way it goes. And that's one way to avoid getting things dropped on you, is to just be above it. Just because we know our stuff. Yeah, see, this is what I was talking about, where I had to carefully, like, place my jump. Well, I did end up wasting a few super punches, but you know what, it's worth it at the end. Alright, you get to die. So... Also, this part is really unclear as to what you can jump and jump through. Or what you fall through and what you can walk over. So, let's see, I think what I should do is just stay up, but I know there's a safe here. Yeah, that is something that's definitely gonna trip people up the first time they play it, and... You know, unfortunately, if you try going that way, then you're just not gonna have enough time to react to it. Alright, see, yeah, this is also one other nitpick I have with this game, is that I'm just trying to find where all these enemies are coming from, and eventually you just end up going slow enough that you just end up crawling through some of these stages. Okay, that's not what I need. Let's just go ahead and interrogate this guy. Alright, we gotta go to first and C. So let's see, I think we're gonna get our third clue there, and then I'm probably just gonna end up calling that video. So let's just see. I don't really know if I want to make it to 3 or 4. And end up getting sniped. This is my fault for being careless. But then again, I have been having some problems recently with sprite flickering, and you know, that's just something that's been coming up over and over again. So let's see, we just gotta make our way to first and C now. So let's see, we do have a lot of stuff we gotta get here. And then there is also gonna be a first aid kit. Yeah, it's one of those go figure things that the case, or the kit's not where you want it to be, but then it either shows up too early or too late. I don't know, that's just the way they designed this, I guess. Okay, I would appreciate if I could just get close enough here. Yeah, why'd you get out of here too? You're annoying. And so are you. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why this case is so tough, is that, they do end up putting you in some pretty unwinnable situations. So let's see, I think it was right here. Yep, that's what I want. And yeah, I am gonna end up wasting some super punches, but unfortunately, that's just one of those things that has to be done. So let's see, yeah, now I'm just kinda nervous here and just trying to make my way through this stupid stage. And also, there are just a lot more enemies that show up where you don't want them to, and like I said before, at least there is a pretty big jump in difficulty here. Okay, let's just deal with them this way. Yeah, that's actually rule number 1 in a beat 'em up, is just don't get surrounded that way. But then again, this isn't a beat 'em up, this is a not very well designed detective game. And I gotta get that clue. So just gotta make jumps. And also there is gonna be a chase here, so just make sure you go in with a decent amount of health. Especially, that is one thing I hate about this game, is that you have that stuff like that happen. So let's see what Littleface has to say. So now all we gotta do is find the bro. And we gotta go to 5th and G. Not that I'm in the best of health, but we'll just see how this goes. And also, I think there is a first aid kit here, but it's actually not until the end. So it's gonna be a little bit tougher to make it through all this stuff. And let's just go ahead and set you off. And yeah, this one you do have to be a lot more careful with these stupid safes, and also with Just a lot more stuff that's coming at you. Alright, just deal with you. Yeah, it's usually better just to let those guys come to you and then just take them out. I mean, I just find that to be the easier way. I know there's gonna be a guy shooting at me. Yep, there you are. So at least we get ourselves a Tommy gun, so at least we got that going for us. Even though in hindsight, I wonder how useful that thing actually is. I mean, I'm sure it's a lot more useful in the... Well, I mean, in the movie they did a good job putting it to good use, but in the game I'm not really so sure. Okay, something wrong, or did that guy just respawn? This is not a Mega Man game, you know? It's just, yeah, I want to jump on this thing. I would appreciate that if I can jump on those couches. And then that's one other little annoyance. Yeah, you know what, we might as well just use this now while we have space. And then just go across accordingly. And yeah, I kind of am getting paranoid here just because, there's a lot of stuff that actually will trip you up, and there's just a lot more stuff we have to worry about here. Okay, let us just... Well, whatever. So let's see, well, fortunately, with the holidays coming up, I hope everybody's having a good holiday. This will definitely be released after Christmas, so I just hope everything's going well for you guys. So we gotta go to 2nd and C now. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pick up the clue at 2nd and C, and then I'm gonna call the video. So let's just go ahead and make our way over there. I'll just see you guys there. Okay, yeah, this is where we gotta go. And yeah, this part does get a lot harder, especially because the most annoying enemy in this game is going to be here. And we do have to worry about that thing pretty soon. Well, not these jerks. Unfortunately, I just gotta punch more mooks. I mean, that's the... Yeah, see, here we are. We gotta deal with these stupid rats that are... Of course, the bane of everyone's existence in NES games are those small, fast enemies that have a lot of range of motion that you can't do anything about. And if anybody's ever played Little Nemo the Dream Master, that is a fun game, but my goodness, that can be so frustrating. Especially with the ways that you can get killed in that game, and especially because it's so hard. Just the basic act of defending yourself is so tough to do. But I know there's a super punch here, so I'm just gonna go ahead and grab that. Yeah, okay, well, it's a Tommy gun. I mean, that still works. A little bit disappointed, but at the end of the day, I mean, it's still a power-up. Something that you gotta use to your advantage. So, let's see, and then, of course, just gotta keep, up with this. Okay, it's the, 6th and G. Well, at least we know where Cloak and Dagger Imports is now. And I'm not gonna go for that just because there are more dogs and more rats, and I really just don't feel like getting hurt here. Okay, damn it. It's not what I wanted. You know what, you guys get gassed. Yeah, it's really what I should have done, but unfortunately I just couldn't switch through my weapons fast enough. What did I mention before? Something that does annoy me. Alright, well, we somehow made it through that without having to use our first aid kit. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna make my way back to the police station, and then I'm just gonna call the video. So, let's see, just a short go around. Yep, there we are. So we got ourselves 4 clues. And we know who our suspects are. So I'm just gonna go ahead and call it here, so join me next time as I complete the case. I will see you then.